Ooh, all right, good morning.
Morning.
Find myself like oddly excited. I'm like, it's chapter one, the semester. Like the first day of school is always like, oh, summer, it's over. And now I'm like, oh, we're getting into it. And I get excited. So it's nice to see you all again. We'll jump into chapter one in a few minutes today. I want to do a few things first. But before we get going on this, so first, are there any questions at all, lingering questions about the syllabus? Anything that like, or the class, things you're confused about, any clarification about anything, anything at all from last time? Feeling okay? Then I have questions for you, right? Just for fun. I started doing this like a year or two ago, and I think it's just a fun excuse to compete for candy. So, what I'm gonna do, if you downloaded the Kahoot app, open it. If you didn't, you could download it now, or you could just go to the website. But we're gonna do a little Kahoot, just like a couple of question review. And if you don't have a phone or a piece of technology, you could always pair up with a neighbor. But let me put this up here, and you can go. It's Kahoot.it, and then there's a code that you'll put in, or you can scan the little QR code up there. Right, it's on the board. Again, you can always partner up with a neighbor if you want. Look, you guys got it so fast. There's no music. Wait, that's the best part. There we go. Ooh, a football helmet. I love it. The little pictures are the best part. That or the music. I'm not 50-50. So in a minute, so I'll let you keep going here and get going. And if you get booted out, I wrote the code back up here just so that you can come back in. But I have a handful of questions for you. They're all things from the syllabus. So hopefully just like a quick review from last time. You get points for being correct, but also for being fast. Right. So for each one, there'll either be 2 or 4 options, and you just pick the one on your phone, just in case you hadn't played this before. And there'll be a winner for each round. If you win any of the rounds or you're one of the top 3, I have candy for you again. Not too early. So we'll just go through a few of these and then just kind of to review a few things, and then we'll move on. Is everybody in? Anyone need more time? Okay, if you get booted out again, here's the code. So I think there are like 8 or 9 questions. Again, they're all things from last class. You ready to compete? Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. Yeah. We're gonna start really simple. Question 1. What is the name of this class? Well, 4 choice. I'm gonna assume those are error, right? Right? Nice job, right? Abnormal psych. I think it's the counselor in me, the academic counselor. People would always come in and be like, I have problems with this class, but they wouldn't know the name of the class. So like always know where you are, right? Good thing to have. So abnormal psych, very nice. Let's see. Emma, where's Emma? Very nice. Round 1 goes to you. Okay, next question. What is the best way to contact me? Perfect, right? Email, right? Best way. You can definitely call me. You can definitely come to my office hours, but email is always going to be the fastest way to get a hold of me. Let's see. Ooh, still in the lead. 2 pieces of candy. I like it. All right, here we go. Next one. I have how many kids in total? Really important information here. I didn't even put the turkey one up. It's subpoena. Excellent. Again, things you probably don't need to know, but 9 in total. So many kids. Last night, my kids were like, "Can we get another cat?" I'm like, "But then I have to change everything, right?" Because 9, right? 9 in total. New leader. Where's Ian? Very nice. All right. Number 4. What is the name of our required textbook? Great job. Most of you got it. Fundamentals of Abnormal Psych. If I ever wrote an abnormal psych book, I would name it Abnormality in You, right? I think that'd be hilarious. But Fundamentals of Abnormal Psych, how many of you have it or have ordered it at this point? A lot of you, great. Anyone find it? Again, like really other options really cheap online, hopefully. Okay, got to see a lot of you nodding. So hopefully you have that ordered or kind of on its way. Definitely something we'll start using kind of as of today. I don't think I told you this last time, but you don't need to bring it to class every day, right? Don't bring it with you, like don't lug it around. It's more for you to read like at home. So let's see. Ella, where's Ella? Nice job. True or false? 50-50. You should come to class even if you weren't feeling well. So fast, right? Oh, okay. Or shame, right? Yes, right. No, right. Please, if you're feeling really sick, stay home. If it's just mild, then obviously you can come. But take care of yourself. That's way more important. Ooh, 2 pieces of candy. Okay. Next. Our exams will be taken. A lot of you got it on Canvas. So again, they'll all be online. When we get closer to the first one, I'll talk about it, but they'll be completely online. You won't come to class that day. It'll just be a virtual day for you. New leader, Malia. Where's Malia? Very nice. Hey, if you miss an exam, which of the following is true about making it up? Most of you got it. Great job. So again, unless you contact me ahead of time, I'm pretty strict on deadlines. So just keep deadlines in mind so that you don't miss them. Reach out to me ahead of time and we can always make arrangements if you know you have something else going on. Good. Malia, again, the competitive part of me is always like, take down the repeating leader, right? All right, next one. Attendance and participation are graded by which of the following? All right. Well, a little more all over. All right. So definitely respond to questions, but the 10 random 10-point activities, that index card was the first one. I definitely hope you're here. I will never give you a pop quiz. That's so mean. But those little 10 random 10-point activities are how you'll get points for being here. Okay. Ooh, again. All right. Now you really have to take her down. Okay. Next one, number 9. If you miss a participation homework assignment, it can be submitted. Right by email before the end of the class that it was due. So like, let's say I give you a homework assignment and you're going to miss that day. You could always email it to me that day before it was due and still get credit. I'm going to connect you with some classmates in a little bit when we're done with this. That'll give you a great opportunity to have somebody to reach out to. Or you can, of course, always reach out to me as well. I'll just give you the bag, right? Okay, next one. Number 10, in this class, you'll write how many papers divided into how many parts? Right, 1 paper, 3 parts, right? So you'll, in a couple of weeks, turn in like your character selection. Then you'll have kind of an outline and then the final draft. Start thinking about what character you want to do if you haven't already. Let's see, who do we got again? Ian. Oh, you have a little flame next to your name. Very exciting. Okay, last and most important, or probably least important, I should say. Who's my favorite football player? One's not even a football player. This is my informal test here. Super unimportant, right? But I do love Cooper Cup too. He's on my window downstairs as well, just because it's fun. His name is fun to say. Okay, so at the end here, let's see our podium. Okay, third, West. Where's West? Right, there you go. Katie. And the suspense, right? I mean, yeah, oh, you took her down. Okay, so if you're one of these three or you want any of the rounds, make sure you come grab candy for me at the end. And we'll move on from that. Well, actually, might do one more Kahoot today randomly. I don't know why they both fall on the same day, but I'm gonna shut this off here. We go. Okay. So just again, a few things to remember. If you have any questions, anything else about the syllabus, you can ask me at the end. One more thing before we jump into this, I just want to talk for a second about note taking and kind of get into that for a moment. I would really recommend that you take notes. Now, it's totally up to you. I would assume at this point you know what works for you and what doesn't. But not a bad idea to be writing stuff down. Now, what you don't need to write down are the things on the slides because the slides are on Canvas, right? So anything in here you don't need to worry about. It's the extra stuff. So if I write something on the board or if I give you an example that's helpful, those are the kind of things that you would want to write down. So what a lot of people have told me they do, and this is again up to you, is I've had people print the slides in like that 3-slide format and then write stuff next to it or have it on your like tablet or computer and do it that way. I'll pass this around to let you have it. But you don't have to print it, but a lot of people have said they like to do that, so I'm just passing that along. If you are taking notes, then you're encoding the information in another way. So you're listening to me, you're looking at it, and you're writing it down. 3 ways of encoding means 3 ways that you're going to hold on to it. So just, I think a good practice, I'd love to encourage that. And one more way to encourage that, what I want you to do, if you pull out your syllabus, if you have it, and if you need another copy, I have some up here. If you don't have it with you, you're welcome to come grab one. On the second to last page, I gave you a little spot for related to note taking. What I want you to do, and we're creatures of habit. A lot of you have already sat in the same spot, and you'll probably sit there all semester, like you claimed it already, and we're mad if anyone else takes it. What I want you to do is find a couple of people around you, get their name, right? And then whatever contact information they're willing to give you, an email, the social media, like whatever it is, like, oh wait, their phone number. A best way to get a hold of them. If you miss a class, your classmates are always the best resource, right? They can help you get notes. They can help you let you know if there was like a homework assignment. You can reach out to me, but I want you to have some people around you to like connect with as well. And also the lectures are always recorded, so you can watch it and get that information there. But find a few people around you, exchange whatever information you're comfortable exchanging. I'll give you a few minutes and then we'll go from there. And again, if you need a syllabus, I have some up here. Yeah. Unfortunate. Okay, so here. Oh. And I tried with them again. There's one reason somebody else's. Doesn't have my name on it. That one has my name, one has my name. Oh, so there's something that doesn't have my name on it. Ian. I'm excited. I'm going to do it. They have my name on it. Yeah. Is this not very loud? Bells.
Oh, yeah.
No. Classes beyond my. This one's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Call myself. All right, did everyone get a couple of phone numbers or emails or something, someone to reach out to? And you can always add later, right? Like if you notice you sit next to somebody that you weren't sitting next to, you can add another one, but at least hopefully now you have someone or a couple of people to reach out to. And again, you can always reach out to me, but your classmates are a great resource. Is there anyone in here who would be willing to be a note taker? I guess think about it. And if you are, come up and let me know at the end. We do have 1 or 2 people who would like a note taker for like access. So if any of you are willing to share your notes, that would be amazing. Come check in with me. I think it goes on your transcript and you get a little emblem on your transcript for having done it. So just as a little bonus. Oh, thank you. And then I want to give you one more phone number. I hope we never need it, but they've asked us to make sure we share it with our students. So the campus security phone number, I'm putting up there. If there's ever anything going on that's not an emergency, that's the number to call. Obviously, if it's an emergency, you can call 911. They'll route it through our college security. So if anything ever like happens or there's anything like odd, there's your number just in case you need it. If I trip and fall and like hit my head and I'm unconscious, someone call 911 for me, right? Like hopefully that never happens. I'm very clumsy right now though, right? Like I almost fell yesterday. You went and saw Bad Guys and I was going up and down the Bad Guys 2, and I went up and down the stairs and I nearly face planted it. Thankfully I didn't. But anyway, so if anything happens, security, one more number for you guys. Okay. I think that is everything, all the like side stuff. Anything else? Any other questions or anything before we jump in? Okay. So chapter 1, again, very exciting, right? What we'll look at in chapter 1, we're going to look at what is abnormality. We're going to spend a lot of time on that today. Like, how do we know what's normal versus abnormal? A really difficult question, actually, to answer. Very subjective. We'll look at like, what is treatment? How is abnormality viewed in the past? Really shameful. Psychology has a horrible history of the things that we've done to people in the name of like trying to treat abnormal behavior. Some current trends, some jobs, and then researchers and different types of clinicians. So kind of an overview. We'll set the stage for a couple of weeks with chapter 1. Chapter 2 is all about the different models. Chapter 3, how do we assess people? And then 4 and on are all the different disorders. So a couple of weeks of setting the stage, and then we'll get there. So this class, right, the whole focus of this class is on abnormal psychology. And what that means, if we look at the definition, it's the scientific study, because psychology is a science, to describe, predict, and explain abnormal patterns of functioning. So we're going to look at how can we describe people and maybe diagnose them? What are some of the different symptoms that people can have, the different disorders that they can have? How could we explain that and then understand it and then hopefully treat it? So kind of a broad field, but for our class, looking at explaining, predicting, and describing all these different disorders that we'll get to in just a couple of weeks. Again, setting the stage for just a little bit. And a really big part of chapter 1 is how do we know what is like normal or not, right? And oops, sorry, I'm gonna go to this here. We are gonna talk a little bit about what we call the 5 Ds of abnormality. And what is normal versus abnormal is incredibly subjective. but we do kind of have a rough guideline of like these 5 Ds. And they're not diagnostic. Like if you went to a psychiatrist or psychologist or whatnot, they're not going to look for these 5 Ds, but they're kind of a guideline that we can follow to see if somebody maybe has a mental illness or we suspect has a mental illness. And I think a really good way to kind of introduce these, I want to play you a clip of somebody pretending to be mentally ill, right? Somebody who's trying to act like they have a mental illness. And I think it kind of gives you an idea of what our culture tends to think of mental illness. So let me pause this and I'll play that for you. Right. What are some of the things that he does to seem like he's mentally ill? What are some of the things that like he's trying to put out there? You had to name one. Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
And so, okay, gauge that, okay, this is, I feel cool. You know, talk on there, like,
Okay. So kind of that lower level, like
Yeah.
childlike sort of.
yeah,
Mhm.
because like I was getting like older and Catcher in the Rye.
Sure.
Every time I watch it, I always like one scene.
Yeah.
Every single time, I always think that book is about some wrong. So it's like, and like this actually to like not know about my and like and you know still went into school, but like you know it is like attachment to the game. Like it's still very attached to whatever.
So we have the obsession with the game, like tutu, so kind of odd clothing and then kind of childlike essence. Did you have one as well? What up?
Okay, anything that we perceive as normal, what is normal, but still like out of the bounds of like this social norm,
Yeah.
like wearing the tutu or going really close to him and like instant replay kind of thing, like going out, you know, the boundaries of the word.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
For sure. They're all kind of odd, right? Like it's, I think those are great examples. Anything else? What else does he do that's odd? Yeah.
Just a lot of exaggerating.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like stuff that like, so it's like, you know, like abnormal, like it's not like normal behavior, but just like a lot of like acting and a lot of, just like big movements.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. There's another hand of yeah.
I just like,
Yes.
So that's.
Right. He's not actually like present in the moment. Anybody else? Anything else that kind of stood out to you? Yeah.
doesn't seem to have a sense of personal space.
Sure. Right. For sure.
I don't know, a lot of things.
Yeah, right. His movements are odd. His speech is odd, right? He like mumbles and has like a lot of like nonsense. His hair, right? I always think his hair should count, right? Because it's wild. His dress, right? He's very exaggerated and over the top. And while mental illness can be kind of over the top, it can also be really subtle, right? So he's portraying, I think, like a common stereotype that we have in our culture of what mental illness looks like when it can be so much more like covert than that. So let's look at those 5 Ds. Let's look at some guidelines. And I definitely think he is showing deviance, which is the first one, that he's acting very different from our ideas about like what is proper and what is like typical functioning. And as a side note for you, and you'll obviously have a study guide, but I love lists of things, like lists of 3 or 4 or 5 for short answer questions. So this would be a great one. Like, what are the 5 Ds of abnormality? So the first one is deviance. Kind of acting differently than we would expect, right? Whether that's his dress or his speech or his behavior, right? Our culture that we are part of, right, has norms for everything, kind of stated or even sometimes unstated rules for what you're supposed to do. And these can differ from culture to culture and time to time and place to place. But take the culture that we have right now in this room, right? We have a culture in this class already on day 2. Every single one of you is wearing clothing today, right? You knew that you couldn't leave the house without clothes on, right? If you did, bad things would happen. Okay, let's take something even more subtle. You're all sitting in your desks, facing forward, paying attention. If one of you were to get up, I'm always afraid to say this because one day somebody's going to do it. But if one of you were to get up and stand in the back corner and face the wall, we would all wonder what was going on, right? That would differ from what the norms are for classrooms. Elevators are a great example of this, right? What do you do in an elevator? when you get in an elevator? What are the rules? What was that? You're quiet, right? To be quiet, you face forward too, right? Did I take yours? Right? You get in, you push the button, you face forward, and you're quiet, right? If you get in and you act differently, people can be uncomfortable, right? So if you dress differently, act differently, do different things, it tends to be kind of a flag that maybe something is going on. Maybe, right? It's not enough on its own, but it could be one. But interestingly, people have little subcultures. Like your book talks about this group, the Michigan icebreakers or jumpers. This group of people who go jump in the ice for fun every winter. Now, most of us would view that as abnormal, but within that culture, it's a typical normal behavior, right? So you have to take culture into account. But when people differ, when they're deviant, it tends to be a bit of a flag. The next one is disorders cause distress. They cause discomfort. This is actually one of the criteria for every single disorder. It causes significant distress and impairment. It interferes with your daily functioning, which is the next one, number 3, dysfunction. So it causes distress, it interferes with your life, it makes things hard. You have so much anxiety, like my poor daughter, that you can't order at restaurants, right? My 13-year-old always looks at us like, please don't make me do it, right? Like, can't order at restaurants. Or you have so much anxiety that you're sitting here in class so uncomfortable that you can't focus, right? It interferes with your life, it causes you to feel uncomfortable. Disorders sometimes also can put you in danger. Not always, but there are a lot of disorders that have an element of danger to self or danger to others. Depression, when it's severe, people can be suicidal and self-harm. There are disorders like oppositional defiant disorder, or conduct disorder, or antisocial personality disorder, where people often harm others as part of the disorder, and they don't feel bad about it, right? There's no remorse or guilt. So there's an element of danger. And then I added this 5th one. Your book only talks about 4, but this is my D, and that's duration. Every single disorder has a criteria for how long you have to show the symptoms. Okay, so for depression, to have a depressive episode, it's 2 weeks. A manic episode, like 5 days to a week, right? Every disorder has like a little qualifier that it has to last longer than is typical, right? If you have anxiety about the first day of school, I would say that's normal. But if you're 3 months in and you're still anxious to go, might be a little bit less typical, right? So there's this element of how long it lasts. Now I have 2 more examples up here. I don't know if any of you have seen these 2 guys before, but Lizard Man and Stalking Cat. Those are their chosen names for themselves. I want to play you a clip of the guy on the bottom, Stalking Cat. And as you watch this, and I don't have a right or wrong answer, it's kind of subjective, but as you watch this, be thinking, do you think he has a mental illness? Yes or no? Right? Kind of in your mind, what do you think? Okay, so I'm gonna play this little clip for you here. Oh, I forgot to put it here. I have to pause that. I can't. Sure you join me as you're chatting or as you're wrapping up, and we'll vote on him in a minute. And you can obviously vote your own opinion, you don't have to agree with the community. All right, you're gonna have two choices. I hate these because I'm a Gemini, and so I'm always torn between two things. You have to pick one, okay? Disorder, no disorder, right? That's it, right? So if you had to lean one way or the other, pick one. All right, let's see where we fall. So stalking cat, do we think he has a disorder or not? No winners here, right? Just voting. I'm so curious. Okay, so we're leaning here, but it's not like unanimous in any way, right? We're kind of split. Like, so why? Why did you vote the way you did? Thoughts? Yeah.
I was split, but I would say no because, I mean, of anything, I would think he was more.
Sure.
It could be some type of disorder, but he spoke, or they spoke very clearly, like they knew exactly what they were wanting, like he was doing it for a reason instead of a video.
Okay.
It may be the extreme of a culture thing, but I don't think he was well aware of what he was doing.
Okay, great. Okay, so no, and like for that clarity, and I would agree, if there were a disorder, body dysmorphic disorder would be like one we would consider. Other people, what else do you think? Yeah.
I was definitely for just wanted to, but he was obsessive with it. Yeah, but not that obsessive tendency is pushing towards but he wasn't necessarily distraught over it either.
Okay. So kind of sound like a hole on the fence, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay, but which way did you vote?
I did something.
Okay, because of the obsessive.
Yes,
right.
it was very heavy.
Oh, yeah. Probably a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of procedures, right? Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
I was kind of tutoring also, but I ended up going to psychological disorder only because then my main reason was because he brought up the cultural aspect of it, and that's something that you're raised on. So I was thinking maybe in his childhood, as he was raised in this culture, he had some insecurity issues and maybe didn't fit in with this culture with his parents, his family, and had to kind of, I don't know, with that, felt kind of left out and obsessed over that and not being able to fit in that way.
Sure.
Obsessed more with the textbook culture of like animals. I don't know what's culture specific, but
Sure.
you know what I mean, where it's he's tied more to that, and now it's his way of trying to be accepted because there's no other way. So maybe he had some kind of head on his parents and caused some kind of trauma with that.
Great.
Not necessarily physical, but emotional.
Okay, great, right, could be, right, we don't know a lot about his backstory, yeah.
I said it's not a psychological disorder because I only know about these because I took a course of anthropology class, but body modification is not that strange of a thing. To this extent is a bit abnormal to me, but there are cultures that to be a man, it doesn't matter your age. You cut a bunch of marks on your back, you get them infected, and then they look like crocodile scales, and that shows you're a man. there are cultures that shave down their teeth and make them sharp, because that's considered attractive. I don't necessarily think that this is a disorder, because he said he's happier with it. It's not causing him distress. He said his day-to-day life will be better. And we don't know if it will cause an injury to bone marrow or not, because we don't know the long-term effects, so it doesn't necessarily mean it has to.
Yeah.
And the deviance is just from our
From our
perspective. We don't know the culture of these.
And I love that you're thinking about all those different cultural implications, right? And is it really that different from getting tattoos or piercings, or maybe somebody who transitions from one gender to another gender, right? To fulfill what they feel like their identity is, right? I love that you're thinking on the layers of that. Anybody else? Anything else about him at all? What if, so I have like one other little piece of information. I'm curious if it would change your mind. He committed suicide. Okay, so he's no longer with us. He took his own life. He didn't say why. Would that change your perspective at all? Like depending on how you voted, does that change it for anybody? See, some of you like maybe you right. We don't know why, right? He didn't say, and he didn't leave the unknown or anything. But he did take his own life, and so it might have been that maybe he did have some underlying stuff. We'll never know, but typically like things like body modification don't have to be by itself, right? But disorder. But if you saw him walking down Radar Walk after this class, you'd probably do a double take, right? Like it would be atypical, but just because it's atypical to us doesn't mean it's enough to be a disorder. So just something to kind of think about. Yeah.
It's like he's inspired by this, influenced by this culture in order to start modifying his body to look like a cat.
Yeah.
But he's still like from his accent. You know, he's Native American, he's in the US, and he needs to go see a dentist and surgeons and like all these people. So he's a part of like the broader like American society, which I know that's like getting into like sure. But like in terms of like the broader culture, like people don't do body modifications to that degree. So even though I would say, you know, like even though he's influenced by his culture to start doing that, I would say it's still deviating from the norm, the platform norms in society.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because there is a whole subgroup of people who do that, like the guy Elizabeth is on the slide with him. There's a whole group of people who tend to like identify this way, and it is like interesting little subculture, but it's still so atypical, right? Like, and again, I point with this, and we're gonna look at a couple other examples that aren't as dramatic, but it's not always easy to tell, right? We tend to think it's easy to tell, but it isn't. So in your same little groups, I have 4 little scenarios. We're not turning this in, it's just to think about. Don't close the group, because we're gonna vote on these books as well. You just kind of leave it open in the background. Or if you exit out, I'm gonna put it over there. If you already exited out, it's okay. I didn't say. So in your groups, I want you to look at these 4 people, right? And decide, do they have a disorder or not? And these are a little bit more like typical cases, they're not as dramatic. I'm okay. Thank you. I laughed at you already.
Yeah.
Couple more here. Okay, so in your groups, and you don't, you're not turning this in, but I want you to read through each of these 4 and decide and kind of talk about it together. Do you think they have a disorder or not? Again, kind of forced choice, but which way do you lean? So when you're done voting on your own and reading through them on your own, talk about it with your group for a couple minutes, then we'll go over it together. We'll give you a couple more minutes and then what we'll do is we'll vote on them.
Yeah, I think it's about it's just this. I think it's like,
Right, is everyone still logged into the Kahoot? If you aren't, log back in as you're wrapping up.
That's right. Oh, well, sorry. Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it back. Let's vote on, we're gonna go through each one of these. So what we'll do is we'll vote, kind of see how we felt as a class, and then we can talk about it. I only think, in my opinion, there's only one on here that is kind of like a little more obvious. I think the rest of them are pretty up for debate. But let's see what you think. We can see how it falls here. So we're gonna vote on Andrew, same as this one. Disorder, no disorder. Let's see what we think. And if you get booted out at any point, I did write the code up. Okay, Andrew, disorder, no disorder. Okay, so this is the one that I was leaning toward having a strong opinion, and it looks like you all would agree. So we all think he has a disorder. Why? What was your red flag? Like, what pushed you over to a disorder? Yeah. What was that? Okay, great. That's a red flag. Like, just being violent on its own, not enough, but it's a problem, right? Definitely, yeah. Yeah. The no guilt thing is a huge red flag. Really big hallmark of being a sociopath or a psychopath, which we call having antisocial personality disorder. Yeah.
History of behavior problem.
Yeah.
Since school, as a child.
Yeah, right. And that's also very textbook that like you have to have those issues that persist all over your childhood into adulthood. I think he's probably the most black and white. Yeah.
All of them.
Right. You're all exhibit A, right? Yeah, he has them, right? He's putting other people in danger. I would say he's a pretty clear example of somebody who fits a criteria for a disorder. He meets the 5 Ds, which are a guideline, but he also has that serious red flag of the no guilt. From here, I think it gets a little more interesting though. Yeah.
Question, because sometimes the 5 Ds is distress.
Yeah.
And like maybe there's distress in the sense that like fights
Sure.
with other kids when he was in school and stuff, but it's as if he is quite happy with his current lifestyle. So I don't know, does that count as distress?
So I love that you noticed that. There are a couple of disorders where the person doesn't experience distress, but they cause distress to other people. And it's enough that it won't qualify. And that's one of them because of the no guilt thing, right? Oftentimes people who have antisocial personality disorder don't experience distress. They're fine and happy, but they're causing it on others, which is why these are kind of like a guideline. And then every disorder will have its own specific criteria. But I love that you picked up on that, right? Kind of an inconsistency. All right, so let's vote on Barbara. I love voting on Barbara, right? Like, okay, so Barbara has a disorder, doesn't have a disorder. Okay, a little more split, but vast majority of you said no. Okay, so what thoughts on Barbara? A lot of you said no. Yeah.
A lot of some companies, especially with year of law school, but also it doesn't seem like as intense as this.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. PMS.
She's craving sweets, right? Like we ever, but yeah. Right. Mhm. How many of you were thinking just PMS, right? Like by show of hands, right? So definitely some typical stuff there that a lot of people experience. It's rotating a little bit around like a menstrual cycle. I love that you mentioned PMDD, right? It could escalate to premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is like 1 to 2% of women do have like such severe hormonal changes around their cycles that they do develop a disorder. But it seems kind of typical. Other thoughts? Yeah.
I thought it was psychological disorder just because of the fact that she was noticing it was getting worse.
Yeah.
During the percent.
Sure.
So it was and I mean, I thought like maybe it was something that was happening all the time. She just was noticing it was getting worse.
Yeah. And it is concerning that it is like escalating further. It's like definitely something that will be a flag of sorts. Any other thoughts about Barbara? Yeah,
But I mean, I was looking more towards like publishing, like
sure.
read, or things come up. Start to notice it more often. Okay. In that moment, you might think there's something wrong with the mirror or something wrong with the hair, but it looked like more.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think I would lean toward like physical stuff and like kind of being typically.
It seems to evolve like almost entirely from having
Yeah.
so I'm thinking kind of health issues.
And PMS is all over the place for people. Some people have like little to none, and other people have it very profoundly. It can obviously get so severe that it becomes PMDD or a disorder. But it seems pretty typical and life appropriate to me. How about the next one, right? I forgot their name. We'll see. Diane, right? Yes or no on Diane? For Diane. Okay. Okay, so a lot of you know, a couple of you, yes? Yeah, or you were right. Yeah, right.
Well, as far as I know, perfectionism isn't a mental disorder, and I
It
think
can escalate into one, but it doesn't have.
it doesn't have to. It could be, but it can't. It seems like she hasn't had it being a high performing student in school and like, you know, performing like very close to like when you think of the American get married, get a good job, do well at school, have a family.
Sure.
It seems like it all kind of fell apart, you know what I mean? And I feel like she's kind of just experiencing a loss because like I feel like whenever any relationship goes through a loss like that, it's such a violent one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that there was betrayal on an emotional level as well. I think that is grief, you know, that is a loss. That is very similar to some like, losing someone that like, you know, that just passed away. I think it's very that grief is very similar. It's not a very set duration of, you know, when that's supposed to go away. It seems like a lot of that is very circumstantial. And that's the main reason why I wouldn't suppose it's not, as opposed to whether she was unhappy with her before the husband cheated. Then that you start with someone that isn't satisfied with at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that then that like perfectionism kind of gets to screen like always wanting, always needing.
Okay. No, I think those are great points. Yeah.
From what I understand, like I've heard that grief can turn into something more severe.
Sure.
I think I heard it was like a year to 2 years after, but only if it really improves her quality of life. And here it says that she still works, she still has a living, and she still takes care of her kids. I don't think she's at a point where she would be considering like a psychological disorder, like when you said. It just sounds like grief to me, and she's just trying to deal with the things she can.
Yeah, because I think not having grief and not reacting and not going through this stuff would be more of a flag for me than this, right? Like, I think it's important to ask yourself, like, what would you expect somebody to react, right? Like, if somebody cheated on you and you lose like your whole life, it's normal to be upset about that, to struggle with that, to have a hard time. But she's still kind of like getting through it despite the difficulties. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also the fact that she cries like after her children are asleep.
Yeah.
That shows that, you know, she's still able to take care of her children. Like she gives herself time to like be sad. It's not also they don't say like how long this has been going on for or anything. But if this went on like after like 2 years,
Might feel different.
it could be more like depression, but right now it feels like grief and loss, just like normal.
Right. And I think you're both getting at like a similar idea too of like grief can become a problem. Like if somebody gets a point where it's been a long time and they're not moving forward and it's drastically impacting their life, they can obviously become something like depression or something else. But for a period of time, which is different for everyone, totally normal, right? There was a hand over here.
I agree with that. I think it's just, I love what you said, that it would probably be more concerned, like, out there, like,
Yeah.
it's so hot. Really happy. But, I feel like if it was a long time, she was like 5 years, like, from.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, right? If it's going on for a long time, which we don't quite have that detail, right? And maybe you're like, as you're reading these, you're like, I need more, right? Yeah, the duration piece is important with this one.
It says 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Which the guy hadn't, gotten worse and stuff.
Right.
So that's typical.
Yeah. That's not that long, right? That's not that long at all. Yeah.
We're kind of leaning towards, I mean, the person is with psychological disorder. It could be seasonal or temporary, but at the same time, like having such a traumatic, like
Yeah.
thing go on, not just with you, but with your children, not sleeping and then eating more are early signs of depression.
Yeah.
Even though it could be temporary, or, should get better, but it also is. It's a problem in your life.
Yeah.
That will always affect her. So I've seen a lot of friends where they get divorced and then they could jump into another relationship, not thinking about what's going to happen, or you look at the job. It really depends on what she does next, because it still is 3 months. It takes time to see what they want.
We need to follow what happens next, right? No, I agree, right? And there's a disorder, you don't need to know this now, but there's a disorder called adjustment disorder, which we sometimes diagnose people with when they've had a big life event and they're trying to adjust to it. Now, it's typically something that we wait a while because, again, we kind of need to see what happens from here. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say adjustment rather than chronic depression.
Sure.
Because she did suffer in college.
Yeah.
She was on probation and she had really good friends in high school.
Mhm.
And then so going into college, missing her friends, most likely, like that's gonna cause, either adjustment issues or even can lead to
Right.
chronic depression. So that's why I was leaning more towards psychological disorder.
Because of that history,
Because
right?
of that history that's already there.
Yeah. Good little detail to pick up on, right? All those little hidden things in there. Okay, last one, Eric. Kind of similar, but maybe a little more severe. I don't know. We'll see what you think. Okay, Eric. Last one. Okay, interesting. So we flipped here, right? So we have circumstances leading to struggles, but it seems like it changed it a little bit, like for a lot of you. Why? Yeah.
I think the severity of saying society right
Yeah.
at all, that's enough to put it in the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
Where you go to a hospital. So I feel like that it's big statement to say.
It is.
For, I mean, we had a very traumatic experience. But it's like very promising.
Yeah, and that, I think that really does like indicate a whole different level that we didn't see out of that. Yeah.
So kind of like what we were saying before, but even more so, I feel like throughout his entire life, he was like pretty average, pretty normal, he enjoyed his life, and then the thing that flipped me was when it said after an entire year of him not being able to use his life. So
Sure.
obviously not easily, like it's a big difference. But I kind of was connecting it to what we were talking about before, the adjustment disorder, where he's still, like, he hid these feelings. I don't know if he felt them before, or he's just learning them now, or how he's changed in that way. But it seems like I would assume that he's had these feelings of, oh, this is not worth it from the beginning, because that's a big change. And since they've lasted a year, and this is the first time he's confiding in anybody that he's had those feelings, he's confiding those, and he's hiding that side of him, but he's still having this feeling adjusting, and that's just kind of why I was thinking.
Sure. Yeah, and like, I mean, a year is a long time, but that's obviously a huge trauma at the same time. And we often don't put like a specific timeline on grieving and on how you react, just because everyone reacts differently. But I think that I would lean toward being more concerned about him than forgetting their fictional names than Diane, right? Because of that suicidal piece. But my point with all of these, and I appreciate so much all the thoughts and like comments, is that it's not always crystal clear. I think we tend to think like mental illness is obvious. Mental illness is easy to see, easy to spot. It's not, right? It can be so like covert at times. And like there are people around you who you might think are fine, who might be struggling with mental illness, but they do a good job of like going on anyway and enduring. The DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, currently in the 5th edition text revision, that was a lot to say, has this statement right here about how we decide whether or not someone has a disorder, kind of like a guideline similar to the D's. And even this is incredibly subjective. You could have one patient go to 20 different therapists and get 20 different diagnoses. And that's a huge problem, honestly, within the field, that we have these disorders, we have these criteria, but there can be so much variability in diagnosis and opinion, right? And so it is something just to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we go through these disorders, as we talk about abnormality, it's not as obvious or as clear cut as I think we tend to want it to be or think that it is. So you can hold on to that piece of paper as you want, little souvenir for you if you would like it. What I want to do before we run out of time, I want to take attendance. As I said, I'll do it this week and next week and then never again, so that we don't use up that time. And then before you leave today, if you didn't turn in your index card, you could come bring it up. And if you were one of the Kahoot winners, I have candy for you, right? So let me grab if you want to pack up for a minute, I'll grab my roster and then we can do that. I'll dump out the candy, that's the priority here, right? Okay. All right. Where did you go? Okay. Oh. Thank you. All right. Okay, so if I mess up your name again, or if I didn't mess it up last time and I messed it up today, please keep correcting me. If you prefer something else, let me know. And if I don't call your name, obviously, check in with me. But we have to be consistent from last time. Okay, Jennifer?
Yes.
Jensiri? Addison? Yes. Becca? Mia? Yes. Anna? Yes. Gabriel?
Here.
Sarah? Yes. Heidi? Nora? Yes. Rowan? Yes. Margaret? Yes. Emma? Yes. Malia? Yes. Peter? Yes. Ian?
Here.
Danny?
Here.
Olivia? Ella? Yes. Blanca? Here. Jamie? Jamie Edmonds? Oh, you're okay. Troy? Troy, you're Saoirse?
Here.
Raphael? Here. Melina? Here. And Jacob?
Here.
Okay, so if I didn't call your name, come meet with me real quick. The winners can get some candy. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll keep going with chapter 1 when I see you all on Monday.
Thank you.
Bye, take care. I'm perfect. Yeah, Leah threatened me this morning. She's like, if you don't let her hand things out for you, I will yell at you. But I think I'm okay. So you can just tell her I let you hand them out.
I'm not gonna lie to them.
Okay, that's fine.
I was
Thank you. Okay.
Was on this.
Okay, so I noticed
It
there.
could be a like drop because of the, and I'm waiting for them to understand.
Okay, Sadie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this morning you weren't on. So
Okay.
it won't be a problem to add you
Okay.
back.
I
I
was
won't
gonna
have
say.
codes till Monday, but
Okay.
on Monday, just get a code from me.
Okay.
And I can help you get that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thanks for checking.
Of course. Yeah, I don't.
Are you? Okay, what's your name? Last name? Oh, did I skip you on accident? Sorry about that. I had you on. Oh, I think I was looking at her name and I might have skipped it. So,
Okay.
yeah, you're here and you're good. Thank you for checking.
I was strong. Now you're.
Okay, are you on it? Okay.
Log back in. Okay.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's because I haven't paid for it.
Yeah, and that's what happened with you. So on Monday, we all have call codes. And just gonna get one from me Monday and I give it to you now.
Okay.
And you take that, right?
Yeah, I just transferred it yesterday, so
Right.
I'm sure on Monday. Yeah.
Did you get a silver? Okay, here, so grab one of these. And then, so look over this and then all the lectures are recorded and
Yeah.
posted on Canvas. So you could watch the one from last time and you'll be all caught up. And then there was a little assignment and it's on the last page of the lecture and you can turn that in next time. So
All right.
you're all caught up from
All
there.
right. Thank
Let me know if you have any questions, all right?
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.